Namaskaram to all viewers of Jyotirmarg. Dear viewers, in our last rendering, we discussed about how the Pandava brothers discussed and decided about their marriage with Draupadi. Thereafter, Lord Krishna and Balarama visited them, and King Drupada, on listening to all details about the five brothers, sent his priest to formally ask the Pandavas about their true identity. Now let's continue. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् हरिः ॐ. As required by King Drupada, the royal priest of the Panchalas arrived at the potter's house and met the Pandavas. The priest introduced himself and then talked about the deep friendship that existed between the late King Pandu and King Drupada. He also told them that King Drupada had always wished to give his daughter in marriage to Panduputra Arjun. Then he told them that King Drupada, the citizens of the Panchala kingdom, and the priest himself are very much desirous of learning the truth about the one who has accomplished the task of winning Draupadi in the competition. The priest concluded by saying that this is the purpose of his visit. On listening to the words of the priest, Yudhishtira said that King Drupada's priest is an honorable guest who deserved respect and asked Bhim to wash the Brahmin's feet and also to offer him the traditional arghya. Bhim did as directed, and having been worshipped by the Pandavas, the priest sat happy and satisfied waiting for their reply. Yudhishtira was very cautious and reserved in his response, as he was not yet sure about how the king and the citizens will react on revealing their true identity. So, addressing that priest, Yudhishtira said like this: "O Brahmin, the Panchala king had organized a competition for his daughter Swayamvara, and this hero here has won her hand by emerging successful in that competition. Thereafter, there is no need for the king to be concerned or worried about that. Moreover, you have seen that test of skill was well beyond the capacity of even the great kings and monarchs of Aryavarta. So you may assume that the winner has to be superior to those kings in his resources and capabilities. To be better than all those kings and monarchs, he himself has to be a prince or a king born in a great dynasty and trained by a guru of a very high order. Hence, O Brahmin, you may inform King Drupada that he doesn't have any reason to be worried about the creed and clan of the one who succeeded in that competition. You may tell him that the lotus has been shifted from one sacred pond to another sacred pond." Exactly at this time, another messenger from King Drupada arrived and informed the Pandavas that the marriage feast is ready and invited them to arrive without delay. Then the messenger read out a well-worded royal invitation. He also informed that royal chariots adorned with golden lotuses and drawn by magnificent horses are waiting for them. After the departure of the royal priest, the Pandavas, accepting Drupada's invitation, ascended those chariots and left for Drupada's palace. They travelled in two chariots, the Pandava brothers in one chariot and Kunti and Draupadi in the other. Meanwhile, the royal priest on his arrival told the king about his discussion, listening to which Drupada was all the more happy. Thereafter, Drupada planned another test for the Pandavas by setting up a hall filled with articles normally used by the four social orders of the society. Accordingly, there were items related to the puja and scriptures, articles related to agriculture, and those related to trade and commerce. And then there were armors, shields, swords, maces, darts, bows and arrows, and various other war equipments of the best and finest order which were associated with the Kshatriyas. In a short while, the Pandavas arrived at King Drupada's palace. Tall and well-built with broad shoulders and long arms, radiant like celestials and wearing deerskin for upper robes, they commanded respect in their looks, strides and confidence. The king and his son, the ministers and others present in the royal court, all of them viewed them with awe and wonder, unable to ascertain whether they were humans or celestials. The Pandavas climbed the steps to approach the seats close to King Drupada and sat on them without any awkwardness or hesitation. Yudhishtira sat next to the king, then Bhim. Like that age-wise, they took their seats in the correct order, in the right and appropriate form and style. Those seats on both sides of the king were reserved only for Kshatriyas who are equals to the king himself. After all, they were the Kuru princes, descendants of one of the greatest and most powerful dynasties of Aryavarta. And above all, Yudhisthira was the heir apparent or Yuvaraja of the kingdom of Hastinapur. Such self-confident actions of the Pandavas made that assembly realize that they belong to a very high and superior level and order. Meanwhile, holding Draupadi's hand and walking into the inner chambers of Drupada's palace, Rajamata Kundi, queen of the Kurus, was welcomed and worshipped with utmost respect by the female members of the palace and the attendants. Thereafter, they sat for the royal feast, and the Pandavas, without any hesitation, enjoyed the delicious food, well familiar with and following all royal etiquettes. Happy and satisfied with the tasty food, which was served by well-mannered attendants, the Pandavas then entered the hall, which was filled with the best of articles associated with the life and lifestyles of all four orders of the society. Walking past them, the Pandava brothers very soon approached that large collection of war equipments and started examining them very closely and then discussed about them among themselves. Observing all these, King Drupada, his son Drushtadimna, and the ministers were now fully convinced that these men in the guise of Brahmins are really skilled warriors well versed in Dhanurveda. Finally, King Drupada approached Yudhishtira, the eldest one who seemed to be in command, and addressed him like this in a pleasant and respectful manner. Truth. Truth is more auspicious than sacrifices and all other achievements. So we wish to hear the truth from you. Are you Brahmins or Kshatriyas? Or are you celestials disguised as Brahmins? Please tell us the truth. Accordingly, arrangements shall be made for my daughter's wedding. Listening to the words of Drupada, Yudhishtira replied like this: There is no reason for you to worry, O king. We are Kshatriyas, and we are the sons of the late King Pandu. I am Yudhishtira. This one standing next to me is Bhimasena, and the one standing opposite to us is Arjun, and the twins Nakula and Sahadeva and our mother Kunti are standing there together with Draupadi. From one great dynasty, your daughter has now come to another great dynasty of Aryavarta. Now, Drupada's joy and happiness were beyond all limits. After a while, controlling his emotions, Drupada asked Yudhisthira about the incidents referring to the fire that took place at Varanavata. Thereupon, Yudhisthira informed him in brief about everything that had happened from the time when they were sent to Varanavata and then till their arrival in Kampilya, the capital city of the Panchala kingdom. Listening to Yudhisthira very carefully, Drupada censured Dhritarashtra for his wrongdoings and assured Yudhisthira that everything will be done to restore the kingdom of the Kurus, which rightfully belonged to them. Dear viewers, here ends this episode of our rendering of Rishi Vedavyasa's timeless epic Mahabharata. Harihi Om.